Good day to all of you. Today I have taken a new topic, that is data constraints in Oracle 11G. So what is data constraints? We'll see. Constraints are rules enforced on data columns of a table. These are unused. These are used to limit the type of data that can go into table. It's clear constraints are nothing but a set of rules which identifies which data is allowed, which is not. Say, suppose if we are going to create a table for storing data of all the people who want to have driving license, that one of the eligibility is you have to be 18 years and above. If any person who is trying to apply for driving license and his or her age is less than 18 years, will not be allowed. So in that case, sure, the data constraints will take part, where that age column will have some data constraints, and these data constraints will check whether you are eligible as per age or not. Similarly, when it comes to, you must be knowing that suppose you are studying in a university, there is a permanent registration number, we call it PRN. We also know that any student who is registered with any university for any course cannot have duplicate PRN number, or there is no student who can say that I have registered with the university but I am not having any PRN number. That is again a kind of rule which can be supported by some of the data constraint like primary key. If I want that some of the column of a table could not be duplicated and cannot be left empty, then in that case we can add primary key constraints. Similarly, you must be knowing that suppose in a college, without admission you cannot make payment for fees. So here, once you are registered with the college or admission is done, only then account department can have your fees, right? So this is called for primary and foreign key relationship. Whenever you will be paying a fees, that system will ask your admission number. If it is not there, means your data is not available in admission table, then you cannot go for paying fees. That reference is from that admission table to fee table. Clear? Similarly, in some cases, we want that throughout the column, a particular data should be unique, like email ID. No two person in the world can have same email ID, right? If I'm creating a database and or table where I have a column like email ID, Aadhaar number, PAN number, these fields can be left blank. It may be possible somebody is having Aadhaar, somebody is not having Aadhaar. In that case, that column can be left blank. But no two records can have same, what we call it, Aadhaar number or same email ID or same PAN number. Similarly, when it comes to, we want that some of the fields of a table should be mandatory. Means we don't want to keep it null. So sure, there are some columns like date of birth, we want mandatory. Name, we want mandatory. Father name, we want mandatory. Mobile number, we want mandatory. Without that, you cannot enter data into a particular table. So for applying such rules, we can use not null keyword. Similarly, check constraints are called user defined constraint or user defined rules. Like suppose for a particular job, I want that minimum should be 10,000 as a salary, and for maximum can go up to 40,000. So nobody can enter less than that, and nobody can enter more than that. That is about check constraints, right? So let's have a hands-on, which will create. So I will help you in two things: primary, unique, not null, and primary key, unique key, not null. I will create with the hands-on. But when it comes to foreign key and check constraints, even primary key also, it has many things to be discussed as a constraints. So we'll have a separate video for primary key in detail, foreign key in detail, check constraint in detail. But I will create a table for your understanding, which will have primary key, which will have unique key, which will have not null key, you can say, or you can say primary key constant, you can say unique key constant, not null constant, right? And rest you will find in upcoming videos. You will have primary key in detail, foreign key in detail, and check key in detail. So let's have a hands-on on where I will create a table which will have primary, unique, not null constraints. So I'm just going to create a table, create table, say mobile, to store mobile number, or I can say to create a table teacher, right? So I will have T underscore ID, the teacher ID. It will be of number type, and size, suppose I'm taking 4, and I want this should be a primary key. Primary key means teacher ID cannot be left blank, and it cannot be duplicated. Second, T name, teacher name, it is varchar type, varchar 2, that is say 30. I want to make it mandatory, so I will write not null. This will become mandatory. Then if I want to have DOB, it will be date type, and I want to make it mandatory, so I will write not null. Then suppose I want to have email of a teacher, email. So this will be varchar type, varchar2 type, and size is say 30, and it should be unique. So I will write UNIQ, unique, right? So I have added constant like primary key, not null, and unique with this particular table. So let's see. I'm going to create this table. This table is created. If I go ahead with DESC describe TEACHER, I can have table like this. So you will be seeing here email is unique one, but nothing is shown here. But when it comes to not null and primary key, you'll be finding additional detail that is not null. So this first one, TID, is a primary key. These two are the mandatory key or the mandatory field. Email is not a mandatory one, but it takes care of uniqueness. So let's insert some data into it to check whether these constraints are working or not. Insert into TEACHER, teacher, values, inside bracket क्या आएगा, TID, each number type 100 suppose, comma, e name Rahul, comma, UB suppose I'm taking uh, 12 SCP September 202, no, 2002. Then email ID abc@gmail.com. This is varchar type, so I need to put in single quotes. So you have seen this record and is added in this table teacher. But suppose I want to repeat the same, matlab 1000 I want to enter in the record again. Let's see first for the primary key. I want to enter same records. I will not be able to enter. Why? Because primary key cannot be left, cannot be duplicated. It will say, see it here, unique constant violated. Not null to violate नहीं हुआ क्योंकि आप you are going to give some value for the column teacher ID, but uniqueness इसका uniqueness is violated. And suppose if I am going to keep it null, if I am writing here null means I don't want to give any value for this column, then it will say cannot insert null into this, means here you are trying to insert null which is not allowed. So if you are keeping a column primary key, so that key will take care of uniqueness of the column as well as it will not allow any null value into the column, right? This becomes the advantage of, or you can say use of primary key, making a column primary key. So it takes care of that column cannot be left blank and it cannot be duplicated if you are making a column as a primary key. Now we'll check t name. So let's put here 1001 as a teacher ID, and I want to put here null, means I don't want to give name, I'm giving null. Let's see, no, this is null. I want to put null over here. It again says cannot insert null value. Why? Because inside table I have made it not null, means it cannot be left blank. So this field t name is mandatory column, right? So I am not able to enter here. Similarly date को भी मैंने mandatory किया है, that cannot be. Clear? And suppose I am giving a new name Sohan, right? Uh, Date of birth I am keeping 2000, just a minute, Sohan, and date of birth I am keeping 2001. This is fine, but I am going to repeat this again. Means this record is already there in the table called email. I am again trying to insert it, and this column is having a data constant called unique. This will not allow at all. Oh, and this was the problem with the single quote. So because we all know that it's a varchar one. Now see, it says unique key constant violated. For what? This is here. Because this ABC email is already in the table. Now I'm making changes. ABC, ABD I'm doing. You will be able to get data into table. See, record is created. So means if a unique constant is there in any of the table, what will happen? You will not be able to enter duplicate record, but you can leave it null. Let's enter a null value into it next time. I'm keeping it 1002, and then 1002. Then Soha, date of birth I have changed to 2000, and I'm trying to keep it null. I'm writing null. Since I don't want to give any, well, this student is not having email ID, suppose. Terminated properly. Okay, this was the problem. I need not to use this. Now see it. One row created means for a unique key column, null is allowed, but duplicate data is not allowed. Not null keyword, duplicate is allowed, but null is not allowed. But when it comes to primary key, even I can write here in not null column, duplicate data is allowed, but null is not allowed. But when it comes to unique, in case of unique, duplicate is allowed. Sorry, uh, duplicate is not allowed, while null value is allowed. In case of primary key क्या होता है? In case of primary key column, duplicate value not allowed plus null value not allowed. I think now you are able to understand the use of primary key, not null, and unique. With this, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment, and subscribe the channel if you find it useful.